Also always freezes in the beginning. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Philosophy, the podcast where we have a good time exploring life's big questions. Today's guest is Oscar Bunting. How's it going, Oscar?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm glad to hear. Um, Oscar is one of my best friends. We're both from Massachusetts. We worked at a camp together, but kind of the reason why I think he's going to be a good guest on the pod is we often like text almost daily on things like sometimes funny, but mostly just deep ass questions, which is kind of the whole theme of the pod. And the last thing that we were talking about is like expectations and like chasing perfection and just perfectionism and how that can affect your life. Any thoughts, Skur?
Um, yeah, I feel like the expectations that you set for yourself on a daily basis and just like long term can have a large impact on whether you're happy or unhappy because the reality that you experience you set yourself up for a situation where you base your feelings regarding the reality that comes in based off these expectations and based off past experience that like made you feel a certain way. um and yeah, whereas we would all likely be better off just experiencing reality as it comes without any resistance.
Yeah. And it's kind of one of those things, one of many, where like I know it's true in my head, and then one, I forget about it. And then two, it's just like so much of it is unconscious. Like I'll go to get ice cream. I'm like, this is going to be the best fucking ice cream of my life. And then it's like, it's probably like an 8 out of 10, but even that's a
Hmm.
disappointment when you hype it up in your head.
Yeah, absolutely. um yeah, expectations, man. So it's hard though. It's a lot easier said than done, is what I would say. uh, but
You
yeah.
still drinking green tea? This is my first cup in like a couple months.
um Here and there, here and there. I like when it's um sometimes I'll get iced green tea, and that is fire. They serve it at some of the cafes here.
Yeah.
um I don't know. I just like like having less caffeine than a coffee. Coffee is so much caffeine that it has a genuine like effect on my day, and
Mhm.
it's usually not the greatest effect. But like,
I used to drink it when I went to class, and it would be like, for so long, I was like, "This is good for me." But then one day I realized, like, I drink it, and I just get like so squirmy, and I'm like, I'm in class trying to pay attention, and it makes it like a million times harder because I'm just like full of energy, and I just
it
want to like.
sucks. I don't know what percentage of green tea caffeine. It feels like it has like half, maybe like a third of the caffeine, and it's a great amount. But also like I don't know. What was the other tea you were talking about? That helped with like fight versus flight.
Yeah, the I had this like ashwagandha tulsi tea. Both of those are like higher like herbs they used in like I don't know Native America and like India for like thousands of years, and they're
Hmm.
kind of like serious. Like I don't know if you call them drugs, but it's like a lot of teas are like green tea, chamomile, and these are like more like serious herbs that really change who you are. So it's kind of wild to
Interesting.
they just like sell them at like CVS. But
Yeah.
yeah, my fight or flight used to be like off the charts. Like I walk into a room and like every time it was like boom, 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 and like dry mouth, shaky hands. But I drank it for like I don't even know less than 3 weeks, and that's just gone, which is crazy out of like a tea.
You stopped drinking it, or you still drink it?
I kind of stopped because I'm like, it's gone.
It did its job.
Yes, and but I was a little concerned on like how well it did its job
Really?
because I've tried every trick in the book to try to get the fight or flight to chill, and I drank that
Yeah.
for like a week, and it's gone. And it's not like a
So
medication from a doctor. It's just something I got at the store, and that's why it's a little
you picked it up at a store or like Amazon?
like a
I
whole
think
food.
I'm gonna invest in this.
You should.
But
I
is it
mean,
to
it's
the point where like, what if like a bank robbery went down? You think you would just be chilling and you witness it?
that's also why I'm like, maybe I need a little fight or flight in me. Like I get in a
But I
car
feel like mine is
but
off the charts.
the stress. And I saw a video of this, and this guy, he's kind of like he's skiing, and an avalanche is like starting to happen, and like that's
Hmm.
the only time the fight or flight is actually supposed to happen. But now it's like you talk to a girl you think's kind of cute, and it's like rum bum bum bum.
Yeah, but even then, what is the purpose when you're in the avalanche? Like, can you, I don't know, like, I'm not a skier, but can you escape it?
It is like fight or
Or is it
flight,
just telling you that you're screwed?
and it's more like no, it's not telling you you're screwed. It's like you see a cheetah, and it's literally like scientifically your body is like we're about to fucking die, like,
Hmm.
and it's like legit putting your body in like sport mode. It's like we're not even
You
gonna
become a
waste
champ.
you're not even gonna waste energy on like digestion, saliva. You're literally and like you start to like shake because it's like the adrenaline just goes to like 100.
But isn't the other, like, half of the deal if you, like, saw a lion come out of the woods at you, like, you'd, is there a chance you just freeze? Is that part of fight or flight? Or you
Yeah.
always, like, take action?
No, it's fight,
Would you
flight,
fight the
freeze.
lion? Is that,
Well, it's situational. Well, it's like if you can try to run, I'd probably rather try to outrun, but like you're also not outrunning a lion.
probably not. Yeah, or like a bear, like in The Revenant, like
Mhm.
maybe he should have just ran. I forget how it went down. I feel like he had no chance to run.
But like if a lion has you cornered, technically fighting is your best chance. And if you have a weapon, like if you can find like a mallet of sorts, then maybe. But it's literally like it's putting your body in sport mode. But in today's world, like we pretty much don't need it. Like we have the animals are either our pets or in zoos or like very far away, at least in America. And so we
Yeah,
don't really need like you go into a meeting and you're getting the fight or flight. It doesn't help you at all there. And it doesn't, yeah. If it comes to like talking or like anything besides fighting a tiger, it's not, it's hurting you. It's hurting you a lot more than it's helping you. And I think a lot of people's is like way more active than it should be.
I feel like mine is. But yeah. It's weird that I don't know, in terms of like evolution, were we only meant to have fight or flight like at that specific period of time where it was like action like a more of a normal possibility that you could
Well,
get attacked by a lion?
going off the book, what was it? Untethered, Living
Yeah,
Untethered. It's like there's nothing where it was like, and this is it relates to the perfectionism thing. It's like there's no like what was supposed to happen. There's just like there's literally only what happened, and it
right.
happened because of like shit like natural selection and like yeah, like it was just how we adapted over time. Like I think I had a therapist once that was like, we're all so anxious because like the people who saw the line and didn't get nervous, they got mauled immediately. So
Yeah.
all the people died,
And
and
probably
then
like the monkeys before us.
and so like only the
Yeah.
nervous people survived. They're not even like nervous, but like you know what I mean. Well, only
Yeah.
the Nellies survived. All
So do
like
you
the
think there was a
chill,
period of humans that was like pre-fight or flight? They didn't have it at all, and then it developed, right?
probably. And we're very pro
Or
evolution on this
it's
podcast.
honestly like an animalistic instinct though. So maybe like when we were apes. Yeah.
Animals definitely have it. And yeah, like we were just monkeys, but like we're just so not monkeys anymore. Like like technically we're human or we're animals, I think, but we're not living in an animal world at all. Like it's so like civilized.
Yeah. Yeah. I read yesterday that the polar bear is like the only or one of the only animals that genuinely like sees humans as prey. I thought that was interesting.
A
No
little
idea if
terrifying.
it's true. It was on Musk's Twitter, but where
I'm, it seems true.
it feels true.
I don't, yeah, I've never really felt like prey when another animal is looking at me. I've seen
Mm,
raccoons, I've seen birds, but every like serious animal I've seen is like behind bars at the zoo. And those things lose their minds.
yeah. You think like if you're ever a parent and you have a little baby, will you like if there's like a hawk in the sky, would you be like,
Get
on
away from
edge?
my baby. I think
Or like a bald eagle? Like what? Because they come and scoop up like little animals, like
they're
I
little
don't know,
critters. I
and like
don't
little dogs.
I don't think so, but it seems like parents are like just terrified about anything happening to their kids. You think that'll happen to you?
Yeah,
Will you
you
maybe
gotta
level
learn how
head?
to. It does seem like, there's good reason behind it, but if you're a parent, you know, you become more like concerned about threats to your child than threats to your own personal self,
Yeah.
which, yeah, there's good, intention behind it, but some parents definitely are, overprotective, um, and let like in reality, I do feel like to an extent, like you have to let your kid experience the world as it comes to them, um, and understand that shit happens, and you can't always be some sort of like protective barrier against your child. Like as soon as they reach like a certain age, it must be difficult for parents to let go. Like especially when kids like go to college, then you're
Mhm.
like, literally anything could happen to your child. So that must be difficult to kind of let go.
But yeah, Jordan Peterson says exactly like what you're saying. It's like let your kid skateboard. That's the general message of what he was saying, I think, because it's like they need
Yeah,
to like
yeah,
learn and like they need to like fall off a skateboard and see like, oh, like I got to be more careful rather than like
right.
if every time they're about to fall you catch them, you're just like keeping them a baby forever. Like they need to learn to like live in the real world. Like you can't protect them forever, so you might as well just like try to have like teach them to and not even teach them to protect themselves. Just let them learn their own lessons.
And I would bet like everything that the parents who do like, using that like let their kids skateboard, those are the kids who turn into adults and become like just find like at least like in the first part of life, like adult life, like greater success and like can respond to like adversity better.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because they have, like, at the very young age, they learned the lesson of, like, I don't know what the lesson is. There's probably a bunch of different lessons. One's like, I got to be careful riding my skateboard. Two is like, maybe they get sick. Maybe they're like, I should wash my hands more. I don't know if those are the best examples, but like, if you never let your kid live their lesson, you're just keeping them an idiot. They're just gonna get like, An older and
Yeah.
older idiot. And that's not what you want.
Yeah. Talking about, yeah, parenthood is weird.
It's
I don't
also
know if I'm ready.
I have
I don't
no
need to be
experience.
ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone is ever ready, but I also
No.
don't think that's the best thing because I like what I've learned in school is like when you're like ages like 0 to 7, that's like your programming. And a lot of parents are like, "We're not ready, but we'll probably never feel ready." And they just fuck up their shit. And the kid's fucked. They're not like fucked, but significantly like if you have bad programming, it takes so much work to like adjust that. You know what I mean?
Yes, I believe it. Yeah. So I guess the lesson is like do your best to bring a child into be prepared to it should come into a world where like it can actually like yeah, be programmed well and you're not just like oh like we're winging it.
Because it is something. One of the better. I don't know why I always start with like these grandiose entrances. Like one of the best things I've ever heard. But like one good thing I've heard is that you can't. It's Brene Brown. She said like you can't give something to your kid that like you don't have. So it's like if you're scared of dogs, like it's pretty much monkey see, monkey do. Your kid's probably going to be scared of dogs, and it's like if you don't handle stress well, kid's not going to handle stress well. So you can't teach your kid something that like you haven't mastered. So that's why I think like the biggest thing is like you should just have your own shit like figured out. Like you should be pretty stable. You shouldn't be like, oh, me and my boyfriend are like, or me and my husband are like getting bored with our relationship. A baby will probably fix it because you're fucking that baby.
Yeah, yeah, yes, yes, yes. That would
And
be
I kind of get it because like so much it seems like love is like the best thing on the planet, and if you have a baby you're guaranteed, almost guaranteed it seems, to love that baby more than anything ever. So it's like guaranteed the best relationship you've ever had. You know what I mean?
right, right.
And so if your life's like not doing that great, you're like, a baby would probably make my life a lot better, and maybe it would, but you're fucking that baby.
It is definitely like it's much deeper than like, I'm having a shit day, so I'm gonna go get some food that I like. Like this is kind of going on to living untethered. Um, but this is a much like bigger picture, like, oh, like my life isn't going how I want it to really right now. So I'm gonna bring a child into this world. I'm going to, change the externalities and to try and influence like what's going on within me.
Yeah,
And at least like, I'm trying to figure it out, but this guy, Michael A. Singer, he says you're doing something wrong if that's the case. And you need to fix what's inside before, like, essentially, so that nothing external can really, like, I don't know. It's a lot to take in with that book.
I know that book fucked me for like multiple weeks. Like as I was finishing that book, I was literally like scared I was gonna become a monk. I don't really remember why it got to that, but oh, it was basically like everything in the book, as you were just saying, like everything external, like what you could call it a distraction. It's I don't know the best way to put it. You could say it doesn't matter, but that's not really true. It's more like you can't fix your life externally, it's all internal. So it's like,
Right.
I don't like how my life is going. External, let's bring a baby into it, is not going to work. You have to like see, like, oh, why don't I like my life? And it's normally like, it's also like, oh, I hate my job, or I don't love my job.
Hmm.
And it's not even necessarily like quit your job. It's like, why don't you like your job? It seems to like all be an emotions and like
Yeah.
past experiences. And like another big part of the book, debatably the biggest part of the book. The book's called Living Untethered by Michael Singer, if anyone's listening. But
Great book.
fantastic book. But he says, and the short version is like Oscar and I and you and this cup. And I actually talked about this on the very first episode of the podcast, which is interesting. And this like water bottle, like it's all made of just like atoms, the very same like atoms. And the only thing that's different is like what the protons or neutrons in like the nucleus. So it's
Hmm.
like not it's not like we're humans are living in the universe. It's like humans are the universe. And we're literally like all of the elements on the periodic table, which we are made of, only exist because of like they were produced when stars like exploded. And that's kind of highlights how it's like, oh, you look in the mirror and you're a little too chubby and you get sad. It's like you're made of stars. Why like it kind of puts everything in perspective. Like it's so amazing that
Yeah.
you're even alive and you're like sad you're a little chubby.
So one like part was it's kind of like talking about this idea of the low-hanging fruit and how you can like develop spirituality, like just dealing like with things that you wouldn't actually consider on a day-to-day basis, but like a huge like thing people constantly complain about obviously is the weather, and how complaining about the weather, there's zero um benefits, and it's 100% just like you're
Yeah.
upset, you're resisting. And then so instead of like being upset that it's cold out or it's cloudy out or whatever, appreciate that somehow there's a star, like, light years or whatever, how the distance that it is away the sun is from us, um, and that somehow you can feel the heat, the energy that that's producing. Um, and yeah, just appreciate that, kind of like what you're saying. Like it's just such a miracle that you feel the sun in the first place, even if it's 20 degrees out. Like, you should be glad it's not -1,000.
But it's very true. It's
Yeah.
like you're sad, it's a little chilly when it's like, do you know like all the fucking shit that had to happen for you to like be alive? And like every other planet in like the universe, and like are there multiple universes? No, multiple galaxies. There's probably like billions of planets, and this is like the only one that has like life on it, that has the ability to sustain animals and humans as we know. And you're like, oh, it's a little chilly. It could be like a -1,000 and you'd be dead instantly. It's
Hmm.
and a big basically his point is like you don't have the right you have no right to be like, oh, I don't like this because it's a little chilly and I wanted to go for like a run. It's like there's a there's like we're on one planet in a whole solar system with like 8 planets getting heated by a star. And then there's just like billions of those. And we're on the only one where you have the possibility to be alive, and you're sad because you can't go on your fucking run. Like
Yeah.
it
No,
really
yeah. And to the fact that to this day, with all the technology that we have that allows us to explore space, and we're still the only like, definitive like this planet can sustain life, or has proven to sustain life, um, is wild. Very wild.
and it's I talked about this a little bit on the last episode, but it's all about like taking things personal. It's like you don't like it's a little chilly because you wanted to go on a run. It's like the universe is not about you. It doesn't give a fuck about your run.
Yes. Yeah, no, I saw you talking about that. Um, it's very true.
And
Um,
it's everything, because it's like a expectation that life is just gonna like be set up like for you, but like the reality is like you're not the center of the universe, which is a
yeah,
relief because it takes a lot of pressure off.
it really does. Um, one thing I was thinking about was like, like this idea in the book preaches like everything nothing's really personal. So then I was thinking about it, and I was like, what if at work or in class or something, um, someone like makes a comment or says something that like directly insults you. And that's like very personal, obviously, like for you, or at least when you experience that, like someone like says some shit about you and it's about you, they say it to you. That's like, okay, that felt personal. But like, I think the idea is that like they're saying that out of some sort of like disturbance in their own like,
Yeah.
you know, soul, you know? And so it's actually not personal for you. It's more so like personal for them, and that you just like experience them have a disturbance in their mind and their reality, that they were so like upset about something within that they lashed out and targeted you with it. And
Mm,
that's kind of like, because I was thinking like, bro, some shit like definitely it feels personal when someone just like calls you like a name or says some crazy insult to you, but I don't think it is. I think, everyone's just kind of, you're experiencing the world. There's nothing you could do about the fact that they felt that way at that moment. You just experienced it, and it's up to you to respond.
yeah, very good point. It's almost you can make an argument that it's like never about you. Cuz often like when someone like lashes out at you, it's probably like you said something 20 minutes ago that you didn't even give a second thought that made them feel insecure. And it's very like understandable why when someone's like nice shirt idiot, like why that feels personal, but it's not. It's like they got caught up in their own bullshit and now they're trying to like get revenge. And the whole and you have a choice because you don't have to let it affect you. It's another thing that's easier said than done, but if you can remember that it's like it's never about you, it's a lot easier.
Yeah. Kind of like when Will Smith like slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, like
Yeah,
somehow
great
neither
example.
side was really personal, because Will Smith was so disturbed or like, upset within himself that, people were laughing at his wife and whatever. Like his wife, whether he felt like it was him or his wife or whatever, was the butt of the joke. Um, he took that out on Chris Rock, but Chris Rock also like his job is to make, he only gets like at this point, it's accepted that like if you want to be funny during one of those speeches, like you basically just pick people out of the audience, like famous people, and make fun of them. But so like and it wasn't out of hatred.
No.
So like an interaction like that, like someone says something, the other person responds by like hitting them, like physical. At the end of the day, at least at the starting point, like it wasn't personal at all.
Yeah, honestly, a fantastic example because it's not like Chris Rock is like, "Oh, I'm gonna accept this job so I can flame the shit out of GI Jane,"
No, no. He's
and
desperately like looking for material. He's like, oh, there's this bald chick in the audience. Let's make a joke about her. She
and
happens to be
Will,
famous.
it's so like clearly like I think it's like I'm not like even into like celebrities, but and I honestly I don't even know if I knew this before Will slapped the shit out of him, but like Will and Jane's relationship seems like so tenuous.
Yeah, right, right, right.
And that's what it was about. Like he's insecure in his relationship, so he's trying to do everything he can to like protect her and like kind of like it seems like he like is so in love with her and she just doesn't give a fuck about him. And that's probably like I'm not in their relationship, but like he was, and I know guys in relationships like this where it's like she probably wouldn't like change her hairstyle for him and he would like die for her. So like he was like this is my moment to like defend her honor. And she probably didn't even want him to.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I think it was also because it's like a medical condition that she has or something like that. But you know, crazy moment. The
yeah.
Oscars are tonight as well. So that's kind of what
Uh,
made me think of it.
the Scares.
Yeah, the scares. A real our a real a real pain is up for two. So Kieran Culkin is best supporting actor nominated for that.
Which one is he?
You know, the one with the depression.
Okay.
Yeah. Best supporting actor. And then Jesse Eisenberg is he wrote the movie, so he's nominated for best screenplay.
Yeah, Oscar watched a movie, A Real Pain. I don't know what it's on. I streamed it illegally.
Hulu.
Hulu?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Hulu if anyone wants to watch it, if anyone's listening. But the main takeaway I got is that there's two guys in the movie, and one is kind of like a people pleaser, and I feel like at least I could see myself in both of them. I kind of saw myself more in the like quieter people pleaser one, but there's a people pleaser guy who's just like he's very polite. He doesn't like he's the kind of guy who's like not going to disagree with you even if he disagrees with you cuz he kind of just like it seems like he's walking on eggshells to get everyone to like him. And
Hmm.
then there's another guy who just he's just raw. He's himself. He doesn't really give much thought about what other people think. And on like several, and they go on this trip, and on several times throughout the trip, like the second guy, he like causes a scene where like the whole group is kind of like mad at him. And you get to like in my mind at least I was like, "Oh, they probably like the polite one who never like disagrees with them and has never caused any problems like way more." But then as they're leaving, they're saying goodbye and they're saying goodbye to the second guy who caused a bunch of scenes and kind of like he made the trip a lot more difficult and they're like everyone like goes and gives him a hug and they're like we really hope you're going to be okay. Like, it was really great getting to know you. And then they see the first guy and they're like, see ya.
Yeah, peace out, dude. Exactly.
And it's,
Exactly. But he also made the trip much more memorable for
yeah,
them. But like the the part where like he didn't even bother to wake up Jesse Eisenberg and they just kept going through their train stop and then so they circle back around and everyone's just been waiting. They're like sleeping on the ground outside of the train. Like that would be like if I was ever on a like a you know a trip like that and some people did that, I'd be like, bro, like come on. I I don't know.
I
But
think it hammers home the lesson, which is when you don't like, when you're not yourself and you like hide yourself from people, you don't even like give them the opportunity to even know you. And that's why like you're kind of like invisible. Cause like when he wasn't there, no one even fucking noticed. Cause his whole thing is kind of like trying to blend in and trying to get people to not like you. But when you're like that, it's like yeah, no one will dislike you, but like no one even knows you, which is just so sad and lonely and like not
right,
worth it. And I think
right.
most people are guilty of like people pleasing, like biting their tongue because they don't want to like cause an argument. But it's like you're high like
Like if you try and please everyone, you'll please no one is essentially
Yeah. And
Like, yeah,
you're trying to be you're trying to be what you think other people want you to be, when in
exactly.
reality other people just want you to be yourself. That's kind of like that's a big thing I feel like these days.
And he was the Kieran Culkin's character was, for better or for worse, he was just himself. Um, I thought,
And
yeah,
I imagine like you could go through life being either of those guys and it's just so clear like which one I'd rather be at least. But there is you could make like the first guy does like fit into society a lot better. Like he has a wife, he has a kid, he has a good job, I think. It and then the second guy, it almost feels like he just doesn't fit into the world. You know what I mean?
yeah. And this kind of ties into living untethered because, like, what could really help Kieran Culkin's character is that, he needs to recognize that despite all of he's just a guy who he feels everything, right? He's raw, like you said. Everything that happens, he feels it, and like you can see that everything, like he's feeling everything. But he needs to recognize that, like, you can, there are still like external like responsibilities is essentially what Michael Singer called them, where like if you're like, one of the spirituality like points he talked about was being like noticing that you are the noticer of your thoughts and your emotions and whatever. But like, say you get fired from, this is the example you use, say you get fired from your job, like you can still like handle that like spiritually like very well. Just notice that you're upset about that and deal with that like in a positive way, but still recognize like, oh, like I still have a responsibility. I need to get a new job now. And like you can't just like being the person who watches your thoughts is not just an excuse. Like kind of how like Kieran Culkin, he stays right. They say goodbye, whatever. They do the hug, and then he just stays at the airport. Like,
Mhm.
which makes me think like, did anything really change? Like okay, so he just like I don't know if he lives at the airport. He just hangs out there, um, whatever. But like he has a responsibility to to live a life that is you know I don't know, it's hard to describe. Like it can't, it's an excuse for like, it shouldn't be an excuse to just like coast and like live like a sort of a lazy like unfulfilling life.
Well, yeah, at the end of the movie, the second guy who everyone loved, who was like him, wasn't afraid to be himself, but he stirred the pot a couple times. Like the trip's over, and the first guy, the people pleaser, he goes home to his wife and family and his job. And the second guy, he just kind of sits at the airport, and you can kind of tell that he's like very depressed. And in the beginning of the movie, he was very depressed. And it kind of shows, like we were talking about, it's like if you're depressed, like a trip to Europe isn't gonna like solve your depression. Like that's an internal problem. A trip to Europe is like a distraction, and distractions can be helpful. And it's also tough because depression is like we don't like a lot of people are depressed and there's no quick fix. Like it's something you kind of have to deal with.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's why it's like makes it so hard because even if you like go inside, it's like incredibly complicated. Another point in the movie, and I want to talk about the noticing and like the awareness part after. But
Hmm.
the first guy, the people pleaser, Michael Sarah or Singer, no,
Which
Eisen,
Jesse Eisenberg, yeah,
Jesse Eisenberg.
he does kind of look like Michael Cera.
He's at the table, and this is like kind of the most like he lets people in the whole trip. Um, So the second guy, the one who's not afraid to be himself, he like kind of has a scene and he like loses it and he like goes to the bathroom and he's like, I'm sorry about him. He's like, I meditate, I jog, I
Hmm.
like do everything for my stress, and I'm still in pain, but it seems like everyone is in pain and I'm not special, so I just don't talk about it. And I feel like that's kind of true, but I don't know if it's. I feel like that's the attitude for a lot of people. It's either like I'm hurting in some way and I don't know what to do, or like I'm hurting in some way, but everyone's hurting, so like fuck it, keep it pushing. But I don't, and maybe that's life. Like everyone goes through stuff, but
Hmm.
it does a little bit like a depressing outlook that those are the two options, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, the Eckhart Tolle like talks about like this idea of like your pain body, which is like essentially like your the accumulation of your past experiences or past like things that have caused you pain, kind of like being like a trailing like cloud behind you that you walk with. Um, and Michael Singer, like, it was interesting because he said, like, the thing about the weather and how, like, you get zero, you get nothing out of complaining about the weather. Like, it exists. So, and then if you complain about it, like, the weather is still shit, and now you're just upset about it. He said the same exact thing about the weather goes for your past, which is just essentially like your past, like, it is whatever it is, but like, as long as you look forward and you don't like let your pain body or whatever like have any direct like or any influence at all on the current life that you're living, that's sort of the path to spirituality.
And it's definitely true. The mind and body are very connected. Like, I don't even think it's like a shadow. I think it's legit, like, stored in your body. There's some
Yeah,
stat where it's like if someone who's depressed gets a massage, like 75% of their symptoms, or like 75% of the time, it gets rid of 75% of like the depression symptoms, which is fucking insane. It's like
yeah.
you are in a bad place mentally, and someone goes and rubs your back and your shoulders and your little tushy for an hour, and, and after your depression is one fourth of what it was. So if you were like at a 10 out of 10 pain, now you're at like a 2 or a 3. That's insane.
Yeah.
And it's
Damn,
literally,
I didn't know massages were like that. I mean, I knew they were obviously they're good for you, but
but it's
they're the
temporary. And like the pain,
right.
like it might like get you a release, but if until you deal with those like emotions, I think it's gonna like keep manifesting in your body, which is like it's so complicated and everything is so connected and it's very cool, but it's also
Mhm.
like, how the hell am I supposed to navigate this?
Massages are expensive as shit. I wish they weren't. Unless you want like whatever, like a good
I know
like massage, like I don't know, um,
like
Elements
$100
massage
an
in
hour.
Andover was like, dude, it was like $100 for like 45 minutes, something, maybe an hour, $100. And then you walk out and they're like, oh, like, do you want a tip? Like the masseuse, the
Oh my
custom is 20%. So then it's 120. And it's like, I don't, uh, yeah, it's expensive. If you want like a real good one, you know.
I know that is it's wildly expensive. And sometimes it's covered by insurance. Dude, like I milk the shit out of my parents' insurance. When I turn like 26 and I get kicked off, I'm going to be devastated cuz
Yeah,
I
that'll
like
be yeah.
cuz right now I can like pretty much get a massage for free as long as they meet their deductible, which they always do.
Really.
Yeah. That's kind of
Uh,
like how insurance works. And I like
United Health, right?
yeah, I literally
Dude.
that guy shot the CEO, that's the insurance I have.
Well, yeah, Luigi was tripping. I was about to say. He doesn't know about the massage game, the deductibles.
I'm not gonna publicly support Luigi, but I think
No.
this like the insurance game is making money off like people trying to like be okay health wise It's a little, I mean, type shit.
Yes.
But I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. Luigi's a
No.
good guy.
Yeah, massages. I don't. This begs the question: like, is spirituality and feeling good is that pay to play in the way that golf is, or uh,
I mean, I think
why is it
like
like sauna? You want a sauna, dude? All right, so get a gym membership or install one in your house for $10,000. Like it's like
it is very much like spirituality should be like nothing about money, but like if you're like homeless and like have major health problems, like and this is a big thing in therapy. It's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's
yeah,
like you cannot even like look at spirituality until you have like food, water, shelter, space. And you can't have that stuff unless you have
no.
money. You can't have money unless you have like a good job. So if you don't have a good job, you can't be spiritual. I'm sorry.
Or just like yeah,
Even like there's a
maybe
Buddhist
just a
temple.
show. Yeah,
There's a
it.
Buddhist
Yeah,
temple like 2-minute walk from me. And I was like, that's sick. I want to check that out. Like, I like a lot of Buddhist ideas. And it was like, yeah,
membership.
like show up to the first session. It's free, but like most people leave like $30 every time they come. I'm like, the fuck?
That's
Like, you,
tough.
is there nothing that's like free? Like a
30
Buddhist,
bucks every time.
I'm in school. I'm poor.
Yeah, at least at like, the Catholic Church, you just toss like a nickel into the little basket. It's not that bad.
And you don't really have to, but it's
No,
so
you don't
fun.
have to.
That is like one of the most interesting dynamics on the planet of like just like you're sitting next to like 10 people and just a basket is like slowly moved in front of you. And you don't have to put in money, but if you don't, like people will be like, you fucking serious?
Yeah. I mean, is God pay to play? Everything's kind of it's tough.
Is God pay to play? And that's I'm like and I'm like I'd consider myself a spiritual person. Like it's a big part of my life. But I like almost refuse to go into like organized religion because it's pay to play. And it's also like I don't want like the group think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are spiritual and
Well,
then they
people
join
take comfort in that. Right, right.
and they stop like really thinking about it and they just like accept the belief of that religion. When I more so I'm like there's a bit of truth in all religion. And also all religions point to like the answer is inside you. You know who else did? Michael fucking Singer,
Hmm.
living untethered. Every single religion, if you boil it down to the message, it's like the kingdom is inside you, which is exactly what Michael Singer is saying in Living Untethered. It's like you can't fix your life externally. You can only fix it internally. And just another thing is fuck, it's everything is so connected, but it's like it's not even like your life needs to be fixed. It's like the way you think about your life needs to be fixed. And that's why you can't fix it
Yeah.
external.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
like everyone who's like in I won't say everyone, but there's a problem with organized religion where they all think they're like 100% right and they're just like don't like each other when the message of most of them boils down to the same thing.
Yeah.
And
Because
another big go ahead.
religion is like, I don't know, we conflicts in the world. Like, I feel like Israel versus Palestine, like that all comes back to religion, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I think they're fighting over like the Holy Land.
And
I'm
the
honest.
amount of, blood that has been shed in the name of religion. But then again, like, it definitely has gotten to the point where they're not fighting over religion. They're fighting over something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
feels like it's.
Something,
I think it started over religion, but apparently they've been beefing for like decades, if not centuries.
yeah. Long, yeah. Yes, long time. So a lot of it is based on the past, which, like, you know,
It. Yeah, the connection here is fucking beautiful, but it's like also like I notice it's all I believe it 100%. It's what we were talking about earlier. It's like when someone insults you, it's more like a disturbance in them, and it's like I noticed when I first moved here, there was a kid that's like, and I could just tell that like everything out of his mouth was just like it felt like very. It felt like he was acting, like he was pretending to be something he wasn't, and I could have just been like, like he had some funny jokes. I could have laughed at him, but instead it like drove me up a wall that I could just tell that this kid was like trying to be something he was not. And
right?
it's always like if that's the case, it's because I don't like when I pretend to be something I'm not. It's like it's always about you and it's never about you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Because,
even
like,
me not liking him, it wasn't about him, it was about me.
exactly. And say you're having, like, for whatever reason, like, some shit happens and you're having a bad day, and then, like, your roommate or your friend does something that like slightly annoys you or just like is a minor inconvenience to you and
Mm,
you like you know respond very strongly whereas if you were having a better like day you wouldn't you just been like oh whatever but you respond like strongly and angrily and then
mhm,
like you go home and then like you kind of got to sit with that like at least for me like I'm like I'm thinking so much in my head like oh like I was so mean to my friend or I was like such a piece of shit to my roommate today that completely like outweighs anything that like led up to it being like a bad day for you then you actually like took action based upon the bad day and like you feel guilty about it to the point where like you wake up the next day and you feel like you need to like sort of reconcile and like make good with that person because like and the connection is that that person like your roommate or your friend who you did that to they probably took it personally like oh they don't like me when in reality they don't see everything they don't see the bad day that you were having they don't see they also don't see like the afterwards where you feel so bad about it and you're like oh like why did I say that why did I do that they don't see that either they could think like they don't even give a shit about me they were mean to me like yeah so that's interesting like and just something that like is so like present in everyday life like I see that shit every day.
yeah, and I've there's a couple people in my life who say, like, everybody's getting their, like, ass kicked by something, and you just, like, have no idea what other people are going through.
Definitely true.
You just get, like, blips, and you think it's about you, but it's never about you.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
so it boils down to, like, everyone has a life, like, just as complicated as yours. Like, even, like, the people you walk down the street and you never see them again, like, that's as they're, like, passing by, like, I don't know, it's just, like, imagine, like, walking by someone and you don't even, like you just don't even, like, think about it, but, like, that person, you know nothing about their life, but it's they have, like, a whole life that you know nothing about. It's, like, just as complicated as your life, and you have, like, no idea, you never think about it.
I saw there was a quote that was like Everyone has a million problems in their life or a million things to complain about. But once you get a health problem, then you only have one problem. I thought that
Yeah.
was interesting.
I thought of that before the podcast because I have bronchitis right now. And a similar quote is like, a healthy man wants a million things, a sick man only wants one thing to get better.
Yes. Yes.
But I don't know how true it is, to be honest, because I still, and no, it is true. Because I had the flu. And when I had the flu, all I wanted was to be done with the flu. But the bronchitis just isn't that bad. Like I can still live my life. But when you're really sick, you only want one thing, to be better.
What is that? So what does bronchitis even entail? I've never had it. What are you,
A lot of congestion. My voice, it's a little more normal today, but it's been very hoarsish
yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
past couple of days. It's still a little hoarsish. And
Right.
I went on a hike. I normally I go on a fair amount of hikes, and it wasn't even a hard hike. And I went on yeah, and I would normally I would just be like walking, and I was kind of like gassed. Like my lungs are at like 70% health is how I'd explain it.
Yeah, that's not, yeah, not what you want.
But
Tough.
the show goes on.
Lupe said that. Lupe Fiasco.
Yeah, and yeah, technically the thing. This is a little technically like the best thing you can do for bronchitis is like not talk. And I'm doing a podcast. And I also I've been listening to music. It's become very clear to me how I'll play a song I like and I can't not sing and get into it. I can't hold back. It's like I have to turn it off or I'm going ham.
In the car for me is a big one. Um, are you like a music in the shower guy? Because I see an argument where like you're when you take a shower, like it's a good place to just be in your own head. Nothing's like influencing your thoughts or whatever. But then like when you're in the shower and you got the speaker bumping, like there are good vibes to be had there.
Yeah, I go back and forth on a daily basis. Cause I sort of always want to be listening to music and I'm like, should I
Right.
be silent sometimes? And I don't think do you think constant stimulation is good?
Probably not. Well, what do you mean? Because everything's always stimulation, right?
I think there's levels. There's levels to it. My
Yeah.
mom, my mom often says that referencing the Kendrick song. There's levels to it. You and I know. but but
Does she say it like that?
yeah. I she's very funny. It took me decades to figure out my mom is extremely funny. Because it usually, when I was younger, I was like, "Mom, you're just annoying." But now it's like the truth has come out. But what I wanted, the
Yeah.
point was, I know multiple people that are I know, yeah, multiple people, probably a good way to put it. But they can't even go to sleep without playing something.
Um, uh, and like an air in an AirPod, right? Or an earbud, or
And
just
that's
out loud. I kind of like no, I could, but I just like following. I like enjoy listening to a podcast or sometimes music, or at the very least, like I almost always have like a fan blasting.
mhm.
It's more of enjoyment. Like I'm pretty sure I could fall asleep fine without anything.
And it probably, yeah, as long as it's not I can't be with my thoughts or else I'm in trouble. That's when I think it's bad. If you're
Yeah.
just distracting yourself 24/7 for your whole life, that's what and my mind, I mean, I think I have ups and downs, but on most days I'm pretty comfortable with my mind, which is it definitely did not used to be that way. And that's where I've been doing a lot of the like inner work, and it's so vague. And I like inner work. I feel like if I were to like describe it, it's like figuring out like how your past is affecting you, I guess. Like ways to do it is like journaling, therapy, meditation,
Mm,
shit like that.
exercise. Yeah. Kind of.
Exercise is a little less about like the inner stuff. Like it's more of like a release than
Yeah,
like
yeah.
actually dealing with it. But I also think it's extremely necessary.
Yeah. Exercise is the goat.
Cause yeah, sometimes like I've been doing a lot of this inner work for like a while, and sometimes it feels like you get nowhere. But like my mind used to be like a nightmare. And still on a bad day it is, but for the most part, it's not like that anymore, which is like a game changer. Like you
Yeah,
should be able to sit alone with your thoughts and be okay.
definitely. Definitely. Um, I like work is also like I think it's just my no, like, there are a lot of jobs where like when the restaurant is so busy that I like don't even have time to think about anything else other than like doing my job well, like to serve customers. Like that is also like in a similar way that exercise is, it's like, you know, running is nice because like, well, I don't know if that's true. I was gonna say because you're only really thinking about running in that moment, but that's like, you know. But like the just thinking about like work, like what say you're like, working on like an investment like or a trading floor like the Wolf of Wall Street or something, and if you're so into it that you don't even think about anything else, I think that's actually a good thing.
I think it's enjoyable and it's probably like a good release, but and I don't know if it's like a pessimistic view, but does that mean you're just like always just trying to get away from your mind?
Uh
Cuz literally it's like you said like being so busy that you can't even like think about anything else. Like that's the piece and that's like kind of what we're chasing,
yeah,
which is like I feel like everyone's in the same boat, but that's a little like weird. And two, like one thing me and Oscar were texting about, I don't even know how this started, but we were talking about space, and it's like there are no problems on Neptune, and Earth feels like filled with problems.
which begs the question, what is a problem? Is
Yeah,
it inherently it is inherently human related, a problem.
yeah. And
Because like if there were no humans on Earth, that asteroid that everyone like there's a 3% chance that it was gonna hit, that wouldn't be a problem. No, like there's no humans here to like make it a problem.
and it's really something what that Eckhart Tolle talked about, and I think you were the first person to tell me this. Is like when you die, it's not even sad because like you're dead,
Right.
and so
And
much of
that's
our life,
like worst case scenario.
yeah,
Like you could actually know you're dead and you're suddenly like just chilling in heaven.
and it's like people around you will be sad, but that's also not a problem. That's just like an emotion.
Yeah. You know what it was in like, dude, I swear last night we talked about like dreams kind of, but I forget like obviously I just forget completely what I was dreaming about, but I dreamed about something and I didn't like enjoy like what was happening or something like that, and I was conscious enough to know it was a dream and wake up in that it was like the middle of the night, but I woke up in that moment, which made me think like, do we yes, we do know we're dreaming, but we're like just fine with we're most of the time we're just fine with it. I don't know if that
I
makes
feel
sense.
I feel like I don't know most of the time when I'm dreaming.
It
But
was
I
just a
also
recognition that like, oh, like I don't like what's going on. I'm just gonna end this and wake up. Well, that I actually didn't realize like it was like, oh, I can do that.
yeah. But you got my wheels turning with like the what is a problem because it
Yeah.
relates to the quote that it's like the like thinking is the root of all suffering. It's like, yeah, what is a problem? Because it seems like our definition of a problem is like things could be different. And it relates to the Michael Singer book. It's like, that's not a fucking problem. And it's like things just like are the way they are. Like we
Yeah, the Buddha said desire. Desire is the root of all suffering.
and things could always be different. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
A good example that I was talking to my uncle, and it's like one business example is like the whole like mind for like uh mindset of like inventing a new product is like solve a problem. And the invention like the Roomba was like saw like you having to vacuum your own house is like a problem.
Yeah, it's
And then
terrible.
we end up with this robot that does it for you. Like that's not a problem. Like you having to vacuum your own house, like when like you're gonna have to do stuff you don't like in life. And like
So
things
how would
could
you like rephrase it though? Like what is in it? What is the Roomba that like it is like it's eliminating an in no it's because I was gonna say it's eliminating an inconvenience, but like it's not an inconvenience if you enjoy, vacuuming or you don't have the desire not to vacuum. No, no.
definitely
But you also
but
like to have
it's
the desire to have a clean house. So that's like, oh, I'm gonna vacuum.
I know. And if you go down like the desire like living without desire, it's not really oh, there's a good word for it. I don't think I'm gonna get it. It's like it's not realistic, I guess. There's a better word, but like living without wanting anything, then would you just like stand
It's not
still
like
forever?
plausible.
Yeah. Cause like if you want nothing for the rest of your life, you'd probably just like sit down for the rest of your life. It's like, oh, I don't want food. I'm not gonna eat. And that's why it's kind of like so complicated. But
Yeah,
the
desire is normal,
and they
but
say it's like attachment is the problem.
yeah,
But I think the whole problem with our society, and this is like me assigning a problem that probably doesn't exist, because it's like me saying things could be different, and when the whole problem is like other people saying things could be different. Like, do problems even exist?
like what? Yeah, right. Without humans existing, even if it just got all the way up to humans and or like gorillas and stopped there would be no problems. So it's humans, but
Yeah, the definition of a problem is a matter or situation regarded as unwelcome or harmful and needing to be dealt with and overcome. So that's yeah, if you relate it back
like
to the living on
unwanted is really the key.
it's like you see something you don't like and you change it or like you feel like it needs to be changed and the internal work would be like why do I feel like that needs to be changed? Cuz yeah, things could always be different.
I think like if you got to the point where Michael Singer is talking about, where you constantly, I actually liked how he talked about the heart because I don't, at least in the A New Earth, which I read by Eckhart, he didn't really talk about like the heart too much, and Michael Singer completely, dove into it, which was interesting, and he even like he drew an illustration of like a pipe, and it was like your whatever they're your Samskrats or something, like that
And
you have
Scar.
blockages, and yeah, Samskra, And like if you're able to truly get rid of all the blockages, then all like your energy in your heart just flows kind of like I guess the idea is just like out like upwards through you and there's nothing um blocking it. But it was also like, you know, if you're in a relationship or you're attaching something um like to your idea of love, then that's a blockage that's going to direct the energy like outwards, like to the other person or like
Mhm.
to whatever this thing is that's making you feel like you're in love. The blockage will kind of redirect it. And then the other
Mhm.
blockage is just it blocks love entirely so that you can't even like experience it. But I thought that was interesting. Um,
Talked
yeah.
about that. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't know if you were gonna like buy in to that idea because it felt when I first read it, it felt a little like woo woo, but it's I think it's very true. Tempted to say it's very true, but I won't. But I'm like I've because he talks about it. It's like if you feel an emotion and you can like truly like let yourself feel it, like he talks about how you literally have this burning sensation in your heart as the emotion is like processing. And I've felt that like multiple times and it's like very real. But it's like so hard. Like I had a couple weeks where I was knocking out emotions left and right, and
Hmm.
now I don't know what happened, and my heart, I think it's closed again.
Like the
And
Grinch.
it
Um,
could be it could be considered a chakra. I'm kind of a believer in chakras, and that's just like one, I think. And all
yeah.
those blockages and like samskara are like they're all like emotions that you haven't let yourself process because we tend to see like sadness, anger, fear, guilt, shame as like negative emotions and we don't really let ourselves feel them and they're just
Hmm.
like clogging up our system.
Hmm.
Whereas if you let yourself like process all those, I think you would feel like astronomically better.
I mean, it seems as though like there's potential to just live every moment of your life just, you know, with yourself, like you know, your spirit just being like a great place to be. Like he talks
Mhm.
about like the you in there, like the whatever your awareness, it's there's potential to just have it always be good, like or in a good place, no matter what.
That's what I if I like had a belief on like heaven and external like heaven and hell has never made like any it just never felt like right to me or like that could ever
Hmm.
be an option that like
Hmm.
you're on this earth for 100 years and like if you don't like do everything right then you're in hell forever. That just like it never sat right with me. But if based on like the book and like everything else I've learned in spirituality, it's like if you can like feel good, like get yourself where it's like your body feels like heaven, then you'll literally like there's that song I sent you by it's on one of the Weekend albums, but it's like an
Yeah,
interlude with
yeah.
like Jerry, and it's like you gotta be heaven to see heaven, and that's kind of what I believe. But it's so fucking complicated. Like I've been trying to do this spiritual shit for a couple years, and I've made a lot of progress. But like,
Hmm.
fuck, it is like wildly complicated, especially because like God is pay to play.
Yeah. Like you
Because
can
I
see like even in people who like in people's eyes like have really like made it in life. Like Trump is an obvious example. Like he's accomplished a ton of shit. Like he's been elected president twice, and like you would think like how much left really is there for him to do on Earth? But he doesn't like you don't look at Trump and you're like, oh, this guy is spiritually like he's always like doing awesome. He's always great. Like there are things like externalities that affect him, and you can see he's visibly like, you know, upset, and he lets stuff get to him and stuff like that. and just like other, I'm sure there are so many examples of people like that who, in their society's view, like the American dream, like they've made it, their career, their whatever, their life is a success. They don't strike me as, I don't know, someone like the ideal person we are describing, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's completely different. Those people are like people who are really good at the game of life,
Yeah.
and spirituality is like,
Like they won Monopoly essentially. Like you could
yeah,
come in last place in Monopoly and you could still be like, damn, that was like a fun time. That was a great game.
it's kind of like, yeah, it's like a game of Monopoly where it's like they won, but life is really like, at least what I'm trying to be is like happy whether or not I'm winning or losing. That's because then that's more in your control than the dice and like how the game plays out. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
definitely.
One thing I heard recently how that was like very, very interesting to me. It's like the Bible is like, it's not like a set of rules. It's, some people consider it to be like a set of stories. And it's like kind of like the goal of it was to be like a guide to spiritual enlightenment. And there's been quotes of people saying, like, Jesus didn't want you to be Christian. He wanted you to be like him and like go down the path he went down.
Hmm.
And no one does that. Well, I'm like, I'm not saying no one does that, but there's a lot of people who are Christians and they're like, these are the rules, like this is how I live my life. And I don't know if that's what Jesus intended. But I think Jesus and like Buddha, like those are the goats at like art, at like what I'm trying to do, which feels weird, but like the way Jesus, and I honestly I haven't read too much of his work, but he talks about like just like once you like, I think he cleared out damn near all his samskara and inner blockages, and he
Hmm.
just felt so good. And he's like, I want to help other people like
Hmm.
feel good. And I feel like it was just a little misinterpreted. I feel like almost no one sees the Bible as like a book to spiritual enlightenment. Because like enlightenment's the goal of Buddhism.
That's the thing. I didn't know what to expect going into like Tolle, the New Earth.
Hmm.
I knew it was about spirituality, spiritual enlightenment, whatever. Then like I would say like Jesus was like um the most like quoted person in the whole book. And I was like, damn, like Jesus Christ. Like that guy's like like that's Jesus. But
Yeah.
I didn't know he was spitting like that. Another person I'd put in that realm is Shakespeare. Did not know Shakespeare had it like that. If he even existed, I know there are conspiracies. Um, but yeah, Jesus and Shakespeare quotes popping up all over the book. Like Michael Singer quotes Jesus, and he talks about like I didn't know like yogic. That's like that was a people, but that was interesting too.
And the funny, I don't know if it's funny, interesting, whatever, but I have like a friend who's very spiritual. And he's like, as something came up, but he was like, you don't want to be Jesus, do you? And I'm like, he's kind of the goat. Like, if you're truly a spiritual person, him and like the Buddha, like and talk about
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
we literally measure time based on when Jesus was born. It's before Christ and after Christ. Like, and it's like, but you
that
don't want to
is
be him,
goaded.
you. I'm like, he is, talk about legacy, talk, and like, he said he felt better than like, it seemed like so real. And like,
Hmm.
think about the impact he had. I don't think that would have happened if he was like faking it. Like, this dude figured out some shit and he felt amazing. But like in today's world, it's like, but you don't want to do that, do you? Like, wouldn't you rather be like Trump, like president, successful businessman? It's like, I'd rather be Jesus. It's a little scary.
That is, like if you were to ask like, someone who's like, I don't know, like Hindu or whatever, just a random religion, like, oh, what year is it? Like, bang, like that's a mic drop for Jesus, 2025.
One
Like you
point Jesus.
they can't avoid that. But of course all religions are great, but that is interesting that I never thought about that legacy. Ron could never
And
get that.
another thing I heard was like, I think it was who was it? Fuck. I think it was like Nietzsche. It was one of the bigger philosophers. It was
Yeah.
like I'm scared for like the world with religion and like without religion. Cuz like Christianity they were like I'm right if you don't believe in Jesus like get the fuck out. And they I feel like Jesus wouldn't have supported what they did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cuz they literally were like if you're not Christian get the fuck out. And like Jesus was all about like love everyone.
Yeah,
Like
he
that
would
dude was
never say something like that.
Jesus was
I don't
washing
know him, but that doesn't sound like something Jesus would say. If I know my guy.
and he was literally like washing other people's feet. Like this dude had no ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was
He was one of the boys.
he
But
was literally all like love and forgiveness. And other people are like, we love Jesus so much that if you don't rock with him, get the fuck out.
yeah, to this day, to
Yeah.
this day, people Christians like will be like, "Oh, you're not my religion." Like, I don't like that. I'm therefore gonna like, dislike you to some extent. Just because you're not like agreeing with what I believe, I'm gonna like dislike you, or I'm gonna, you know, make sure that we're separated, we're different. When definitely wasn't Jesus's intention.
One of my teachers, he grew up like a Jehovah's Witness and he
Yeah.
played this video of a Jehovah's Witness and like someone in the church like touched his daughter and like the daughter took him that like priest guy or elder to court won and this dude like stopped talking to his daughter because she was like kicked out of Jehovah's Witness and he was like I'm team Jehovah.
Really?
Like it's so
Yeah, tough look for the Jehovah's.
it's so complicated but it's a part of me is like how did we get here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to take the most loving dude ever and just do such like hateful things based like with his name as your intention.
Hmm.
And it's not like I mean, I don't Jesus Buddha 7 game series, I don't know. But like a part of Jesus's like legacy is that people like were like if you don't rock with them like we're going to war. And that's like a big part of like why we measure time. It wasn't like everyone universally agreed. The Christians were like, this is how it's going to be. And we have guns.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
And I don't want to
Yeah.
rag on all the Christians. Like, there's definitely been people in other religions who have done some heinous shit in the name of religion, like 9/11, Boston
Right.
bombing.
Right. No, it's
Jesus,
all encapsulating. Everyone's hands are dirty.
yeah, like, yeah, I'm sure it makes sense in some way, but just like he was all about love, and I don't know. like crashing planes into buildings isn't while people are in them and there's people in the plane.
Yeah, yeah, sad. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I wanted
What's
to
that?
ask.
What were you gonna say?
Let's see. Oh, what was the place where the woman told you you were goated? They had this book displayed, or the predecessor to this book.
Yeah, and if anyone's listening and wants to like interested in the spiritual stuff, the book
And,
you could
well,
probably Living Untethered by Michael Singer.
not getting paid for that.
I'd start there. Or you should honestly read the prequel, The Untethered Soul. And it's I'm not gonna lie, like if you read this book, you will never be the same. At least I was never the same. Like you'll never look at life the same.
Which one? The one I just read, or the next one?
Kind of both.
Yeah, yeah.
And a big part of it, what were we talking about right before that?
The place where the woman said you were goated.
Oh yeah. I went to a psychic and I'd
Wait,
never
what are
been
the chances though that she says everyone's goated?
I have no idea.
Not to rain on your parade, but
No. But I walked in there and it was like I think it was the deal was like $2 per minute, and I think a lot of
Mhm.
people do like 30 minutes. I was like, I want to do 5 minutes, and she was clearly like a little annoyed at that because I would only be paying like $10.
That's kind of
But
expensive though. Yeah.
like I feel like you can tell me a lot in 5 minutes, and $10 really ain't shit.
Yeah, yeah, yes. I agree.
I sat down and she was like, "What's up?" And I was like, I don't know. I've never done this
Get to it,
before."
lady. Yeah.
Like, she's like, "What do you want to know?" I was like, I don't know, like my future. And she like was like, "Your future is just created by like the present moment and like how you think." And I was like, honestly, I agree with that. And then like after that moment, it was like we both kind of agreed, and I was like, I don't know. So yeah, I don't really know why I'm here. I just thought it would be cool. And then she did like some cards, and we ended up talking for 5 minutes. And I picked the cards, and she kind of hit the like she knew me for less than 5 minutes, and
Yeah, yeah.
she said one like you're like I can tell you're a very overly cautious person, which is true. And then it also she was like, "Did you break up with someone?" And I was like, "Yeah." And like that was just like I was giving her nothing. And like I am an overly cautious person. I walk in,
Hmm.
I'm like, let's see what this is about. And she told me I really didn't give her much, and she like sensed those things pretty quickly, which I thought was pretty cool. And she's also
Yeah.
like this, and then she's like, so was something we got to like somehow. She's like, you wonder about the meaning of life, don't you? And I was like, who is this lady? And I was
She
like,
said
yeah.
that unprompted.
I think like something like hinted at it, but like it was definitely a stretch. And once again, hammer on nail for like the third time.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah, respect.
yeah, how the fuck did you know that, lady? But and then she's like, "Well, what do you think it is?" I was like, "I don't know. I think we're the universe experiencing itself." And that's when she was like, she looked at me different after I said that. She was like, I don't know, I think she thought I was like some punk kid when I
Mm,
walked in, and
yeah.
then she was like, "Nah, this kid's the real deal."
Fire.
As like I was only in there for like 5-10 minutes, and as I was leaving, she was like, "I think you're like gonna do great things on this planet." And I was like, someone else had already told me, like, obviously a great thing here. Who wouldn't want to hear that? But I
Right?
was like, I was looking for more like practical advice. But
Yeah, yeah.
she was like, you're gonna meet people on your journey. Just like trust the process. Which I was like, fuck that, fuck you. But it's also like I feel like that is the answer. And
Hey,
I
yeah.
also had this meditation teacher that my grandma had like a meditation teacher back in the day,
Hmm.
and he got me a meditation teacher, and like we worked together for like a couple hours, and she's like, there's like very few people that are like on this path like as young as you are. And
Hmm.
that's what I think it is, more than like you're going to do great things. It's just like you're starting early and you have like the potential to do great
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Because when you start early, you kind of have the potential to go farther.
Definitely.
But the
Yeah.
best the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is right now.
That's a bar.
And yeah, fuck it. Let's get into it. The one of the I my biggest takeaway from the Michael Singer book was like the can we do the thought experiment to just answer the questions that I ask you? They're basic, and it does it in the
Hmm.
book. So I was like, if I say who are you, what would you say?
Oscar.
And then Michael Singer would be like, no, that's your name. Who are you?
Um, you know, senior at UMass Amherst, finance student, 22 years old.
And Michael Singer would say, no, that's your age, your major, and where you go to school. Who are you?
Then I would be like a good guy who tried his best.
And even then, even then, he would say like that's one thing you think about yourself and the outcome you perceive. Like, and it boils down to like you are legit, like you're not your body. And another way he illustrates this point, like a lot of us, we get so caught up in the fact that like thinking like we're just our bodies, but like this hand is a part of my body. If I cut off my hand, am I still who I
You're
am?
still
Yeah.
entirely you, 100%.
And I could cut off my arms, my legs, my pecker, and
Mm,
I would still be me. So it's like
that would be
if
tough. That would be like 99.
you'd be like, "Are you still you?" I'd be like, "Barely." another another point he makes is like you and I do this. I kind of stopped doing it, but when I was reading the book, I did this for like 2 weeks straight. Like I'd go every time I go to the bathroom and I'd washing my hands. When I do wash my hands and I'm being a good boy, I'd look in the mirror and I'd be like, he says to do this. He's like, are you in there? And the kind of instinct is like, yeah. So it's like you're not your body, you're in your body. And like we were saying
Yeah,
before, it's like you're not your name, you're not like anything external. You're literally like the awareness of your emotions. You're like the awareness of your emotions, like the witness of your thoughts. And then it's kind of like you're playing this game, like, and then you're also aware of the external world, which is like a lot of things, but it boils down to like those three things. And that's like all you are. And that combined with like I'm made out of the same stuff of this mug. I'm not
hmm
in the universe. I am the universe. It's like it's just so clear to me with those 2 points that I am the universe like experiencing itself. I'm just like aware of the universe.
Yeah, human awareness.
And something that really ruffles my feathers is like he's cuz technically it's like nothing could be bad really unless you perceive it to be bad. Like you're aware of sadness. You're not like say you get like punched in the arm. It's like you're just aware of that. It's not even really like that happened to you because you're not your body. which is a nice thought, but it also like it hurts when you get punched in the arm. That's kind of the balance I struggle with.
Yeah. I guess like yeah.
Because
But
at
even if
times,
you got your arm like shot off with a chainsaw, like it would hurt in the moment, but eventually with some healing, like you get back to a place where you're not in any physical pain at all.
yeah. And one of his points is like, and again, it's kind of like it's kind of a taboo attitude for like the society we live in. But it's like
Hmm.
if you fully just like let go and like lived in the present moment, even if like you were like getting in a car crash, like that would be an incredible, like an very amazing experience. But the reason you're like that sucked is because like my car is fucked and like this is gonna wreck my day. And that's why something I wanted to talk to you about is like the concept of like ownership.
Hmm.
It's like a lot of you know, this happens to me. I don't know if it happens to you, but like I'll wear a shirt for a while and then I get kind of like sick of it and I'm like I need a new shirt.
Yeah, sure.
It's like and I like I consider this my shirt, but it's like I handed a dude. I actually caught this at a hockey game, so it's not a good example. But my other
Hmm.
shirts, like I handed a dude or a woman a piece of paper, and they gave me the shirt. Like, do I really own the shirt? And it's the same thing with like your house. Like you gave someone some paper, or you wired them some thing that's the equivalent of paper, and like they're letting you live there. But it's like you don't do you own that? Do you even like own your body or are you just in your body? And the one of the best examples is like your lawn. Like you can give someone some paper and they give you like a plot of land and they're like by law that is your land. It's like is that really your land? No.
Because
And
you
it's
can give
easy.
someone your kidney.
Yeah.
So do you
That
really
shows that really your
you definitely
kidney.
don't own it. Yeah.
Like you're just using that thing. It doesn't really mean it's yours. And the reason this is so, I feel like I'm talking like Trump with my hand gestures, but um, the reason that's so important is because like if you get in a car accident and it's not your car, like you would be like, damn, that was like a kind of a cool experience as long as you're okay. And also if like someone like like you're walking down the street and someone like throws mustard at you and it goes all over your shirt like
Yeah.
if you were just like, this is a shirt that I have on, like I could just take it off, or it kind of looks cool with the mustard on it. Like that would be like a kind of a cool experience. But instead, you're like, oh man, my shirt is ruined. It's like if you didn't think that was your shirt,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be
It
happy
definitely
right now.
it intensifies the you know, the resistance to reality. Definitely.
100%. And that it's like it kind of like makes you feel like everything is about you. Like this is my shirt, this is my mug. Like a couple like about a month ago I dropped my mug and I was like devastated. And I was like that's a fucking mug. But like
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
it's like my
Right.
favorite mug. That I was sad cuz that was my favorite mug, but like if that wasn't my mug and it dropped I would have been like, "Whoa, that was kind of cool." And
I think
like
that like yeah.
if you never like assigned ownership to like anything, everything would just be pretty cool. And where it gets a little tricky and debatable is like, would you say like this, like, is this my body?
No, I think that like any like true ownership is something that you can take with you when you die. And like I don't know obviously know what the chances are, but there's a chance that maybe you can take your awareness with you when you die. like even like your physical body, like you aren't bringing that like to the afterlife. Like it's just, it's chilling in the grave. And
But
like obviously your possessions.
awareness isn't something you have, it's legit like what you are. It's not something you take with you, it's you. And even
Yeah,
like when I said I was looking in the mirror, it's like you in there, and then I always kind of like smile and I'm like, yeah. It's like I'm not the body. Like this body isn't mine. Like I'm just in it. I'm using it right now. And that's why like if you look in the mirror, like then what you would care way less if you were a little chubby. If you were like, oh, I hate my body. Like, or you could be like, oh, the body I'm in is a little chubby. Who gives a fuck? Because it's like
that's a good
it doesn't.
point.
I
That's
don't
a
have to
very good
think about
point.
it, my body. Nothing is really like mine. Like I'm just like you're using stuff sometimes. And even like with something like love, it's like I don't think you can really take anything with you. Like that's just like clinging. That's like attachment.
Yeah,
Like shit just like happens and it can be amazing, but it goes. And that's kind of what makes it beautiful. That sounds like a little I don't know, soft, but like by definition like debt I don't think I have to go that far, but it's like if you I'm gonna go that far. Death is like what gives life meaning because like if you never died, like you could just lay in bed and be like, I'll do shit tomorrow. But the very fact that you have limited time is what gives our time value.
were you the one who sent me like Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about that? And like, like
Probably.
he said like the only reason anyone ever cares about like when you give someone flowers, the only reason they're worth anything is because one day, like soon, they're gonna wilt away and they're gonna die. Like if you give someone a flower and it's just like a plastic flower that lasts forever, there's no value in that. There's no beauty in that. But if you give someone a rose that is at its like peak, like like, oh, this is so cool. Like this is a beautiful rose. 2 weeks in 2 weeks, it's just gonna look like shit. And that was kind of
Yeah.
like a metaphor for like exactly what you said. Like death is what gives life its meaning. Like no one wants to live forever. You would never ever want to live forever because there would be no life.
And it's again easier said than done, but I feel like all we do is like try to like come up with this perfect society and try to like if you gave me a flower and I loved it, I'd like try to keep it alive as long as I can, which is like not really the problem, but like I'm probably going to be devastated because inevitably it's going to die. Whereas like if you remember like that everything is temporary, like you'll be a little less like disappointed.
Yeah, truly everything is temporary.
And my friend, he graduated at JMU with me. He's like, I like my job, but I don't know if I can do this forever. It's like, you're not going to be alive forever.
Yeah, right. That's not an option.
And yeah,
And
it's
no
like,
one,
even,
genuinely, like no one is like that's just like I guess in that case, it's like expectations that you're setting either for yourself or like other people are setting expectations for that person where he feels like any sort of like, I don't ever want to be in a situation in life where I feel like I even need to be at a job for like a year. Like I want to be able to feel like I can leave this job. It gets different when you have a family and like you have kids to support, but like you can leave a job if it's truly affecting your internal like self. Like you can walk away and you can know, like Tony said, like like don't let anyone ever tell you that you don't have options.
yeah. Another thing is like, you got like limited time on this earth. I think this is from Goodwill Hunting, where, yeah, you know the movie, I'm assuming, but
Hmm.
like, Will is like so scared of like committing to anything because he doesn't want to get hurt. And then Robin Williams, the therapist, I think his name's like Sean.
Yeah,
Sean's like, what's the matter with you? You're so scared of everything. If you're scared of everything forever, you're not gonna live life. And then Will's like, what do you know? Like your wife's dead. He's like, at least I played a hand, which is like the scene's a little bit better than that, but like
it's true.
everyone you know and love is like gonna die.
That's
And also
ultimately what like in the or whatever the scene is where like him and his girlfriend get in that big fight and then like sort of split up. Like that is driven by his, lack of willingness to commit to her and willingness to like be vulnerable and his like clearly like he's in love with her. He feels like emotions and the difference is just like she's not scared. She's willing to be vulnerable with him. She's willing to let like her heart be broken over him if it means that he knows that she loves her, but he's like it's obviously he opens up about his background and everything. Like the reason he's not willing to like that whole situation happens because he just can't like be vulnerable and it's programmed in him not to be. It's the reason he doesn't like it's a movie obviously, but it's deep. Like it's the reason he doesn't have like he's an Einstein and he doesn't have like a top paying job because he doesn't want to be vulnerable. He doesn't want to let people tell him that he can't like that he's not smart enough. He knows how smart he is, so he'll just do that. He'll be a janitor.
you were talking about Will's willingness, which I thought was funny. But also, like, this ties together so fucking beautifully. Like, we were just talking about like keeping your heart open. And like that's kind of what life's all about. It's like you're gonna get hurt, but do you want to live? Cuz if you're like playing if you're too afraid of getting hurt, you're not going to experience anything.
Yeah. Yes.
And it ties
And
back to the real pain too, where it's like if you're too afraid of like people not liking you, no one is going to know you.
yeah.
You got to be like willing, like pain is a part of life essentially. And you got to be like everyone when they get their heart broken or like even go through a breakup. It's like I don't know how I'm ever going to do that again. And I've been there and like it's easier said than done, but it's like are you just going to be like closed off for the rest of your life? Is that your plan?
Right.
It's a shit plan. There's definitely a good quote that talks about what we're talking about.
Um,
Um, there is one I can feel it. I don't know. There's one that's like to get something you never got, you got to do something you've never done. That doesn't really fit exactly.
I like the quote about like everything like worth having in life is on the other side of fear.
Yeah, that's a great one. And that kind
And it
of
is a great
exact.
one. I honestly never thought of Goodwill Hunting that like but like that is essentially what the movie is about. Like it applies to both his love life and his professional life, or just like his work life, whatever.
And
Damn good
it
movie.
I literally just did a class project on that, which was I was really like it was the first time where I was doing a project in school where I was like genuinely like this is cool. But like we did a case study of him, and like he was an orphan. He got SIGs put out on him when he was a kid. Like he's obviously he's and he his parents abandoned him. Like it makes so much sense why he's afraid to like trust people, and he's afraid to like get hurt because he got hurt really bad. But if you're not willing to get hurt, you're gonna get nothing. And
Yeah,
like you said, it applies to his career. He's a genius, and yet he's working construction,
yeah.
and he meets probably the love of his life, and he walks away because he's like, she's
I don't want
like,
to get hurt.
and you got to get past that. Which again, easier said than done, but like, yeah, I think everything worthwhile in life is on the other side of fear. Is pretty much that's what it boils down to. You got to if
Definitely
you can't
true.
if you can't push past fear. Steve Harvey has a quote, and I think I misquote it, but I kind of like my altered version better. It's like, if you never leave your comfort zone, that's where you will die.
Hmm.
And also, very important, if you never leave your comfort zone, it just keeps getting smaller and smaller until you're afraid to like go outside. And is that what you want? I really, and it's definitely something I've talked about a lot on this pod, but it's like facing your fear, it's everything.
Yeah, it's important. I hope the listeners catch on.
There,
You could
one of my
really change some
episodes.
lives.
That is kind of the message. And I think it was one of the first couple episodes. It was literally called like "Fear is my biggest op." And
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
like some
yeah, yeah.
Henry Rome from camp. He texted me. He's like, "Dude, that was fucking awesome." And that's what I talked about like the whole time in that pod.
Fire.
And one thing I like is like it doesn't need to like help. If this like thing just like helps a couple kids from camp, then like fuck it. Like that's still meaningful.
I agree. Trying your best.
It does, yeah. It doesn't need to be like some like essentially it's mission already accomplished because like if it helped anyone, it's worthwhile, and I like doing it. I had a blast having this conversation.
Me as well. I'm gonna walk away from this feeling like, I don't know, a little bit more enlightened.
Yeah, one
Just one
thing
step
like
forward.
one thing I'd like to talk, and especially with the spiritual shit, it is 100% like three steps forward, two steps back is what it feels like sometimes. But you are making progress. And remember your texting is probably a couple weeks ago where it's like you get to the point where you feel just like incredibly in the moment, and you feel almost like
Yeah, when you
I
get that like a natural high that lasts like a
yeah.
couple hours,
And I
definitely
never
good.
used to have those, and that is huge progress.
It was like, yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And one thing for the listeners, we're not being incredibly specific, but like sometimes I'll just like be walking home from class, and like sometimes you're walking home from class and you're like thinking about like what you got to do and what you're going to have for dinner and what you um if you have any homework. But sometimes I walk home from class and there's some like nice architecture, and I wonder if that plays a factor. But sometimes I'm just like I'm completely in the moment. I'm just like walking and looking at buildings and like in awe at buildings,
Hmm.
which sounds like crazy in today's world, but like maybe today's world is crazy because like I genuinely I'm walking home looking at buildings and I'm like 100% content because everything's made of like fucking stardust. Like that's
Right.
amazing.
Definitely.
And I think like being in the moment, and this is not an original idea at all. Eckhart Tolle, like this is his shit. But like the power of now, like the best thing you could hope for, and debatably heaven, is just being in the moment all the time. And
Yeah.
Jesus taught, I really hope it's true. It's kind of hard to believe for me a little bit that it's like they say like you can feel better than any drug could make you feel, and you could feel like that all the time.
Wait, where did you? This is what I was just gonna ask. Where did you read about? Because I told some other kids this, but I was like, I don't really. Someone just told me that Matthew McConaughey like stopped doing all drugs because he said he like didn't want to disturb how good he felt naturally
It was in it, yeah, it was in it. He's like, I like my
in
own company so much now, I
his
don't want to
book.
alter it. It's in his book Green Lights. I've listened to it twice. It's a fantastic book.
I gotta listen to that or read it.
Man, he's one of my, yeah, I've said this to you before, but if I had to pick an idol, he's up there. But yeah, like, and I think Jesus and Buddha like got pretty far down this path where it's like they felt like all the time better than any like drug or alcohol could make them feel. And so like so many people in America like work all week just to like drink on the weekend with their friends. You could feel like that all the time. But yet it's like, oh, you don't want to go down that path, do you? It's like what the fuck? Like why wouldn't I?
I yeah, 100%
Why wouldn't
agree.
I want to feel that good all the time?
It's normal to be excited to drink and whatever. Drinking's fun. But like if you're like sitting in work on a Tuesday, like, oh, like I just can't wait until these next like 3 days of time are over so that I can hit the bar at 5 o'clock on a Friday, something's wrong. Something is wrong. You gotta fix that.
100%. You're wishing away your life. Like you're like basically like I hope I wish the next 3 days like go by quick and like basically you'd probably like if you're in that position you'd probably be like I wish I could just fast forward. And it's like that
Yeah.
you're fast forwarding through your life. And there's a movie Click by Adam Sandler. It's kind of like a
I've seen
children's
Click.
movie,
Yeah.
but it made me sob when he's like in the rain and like his family he's in the rain. He's like sick. He like made he's offered this remote that where he can like fast forward time. Like this is fucking awesome. And then he
hmm
basically fast forward his whole life, and then his family like he kind of loses his family because he's like there he sees them as like a distraction from like
hmm
his he's always trying to work to get this promotion that he thinks will make him happy, but it's like what's happy is your family and like what's right in front of you, and
hmm
you're wasting it.
It's true. Yeah, one of the three pillars that Eckhart talked about. It was like enthusiasm, joy, and acceptance. But like just like having general like enthusiasm about your life, whatever like it may be, like oh like say you're sitting in work on that Tuesday, like instead of like praying that the week goes by fast so you can drink, like maybe think like oh like I don't know, what am I doing? Like, you get out of work at some point. So that Tuesday night, like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna watch a movie? Are you gonna like get dinner with someone? Are you gonna like, you know, get some work done that you had been like that you want to get done? Like any like enthusiasm about like the future is sort of how you get, how you get rolling.
Yeah.
I may name my kid Will, and then he'd be Will Bunting, and that's damn close because he could be a
That would be fucking awesome. Goodwill Bunting.
I don't know. I'm like not like against the name. Like Will's like not a bad
I like
name.
the name Will a lot.
Yeah. So then it would kind of be up to him whether he behaves well or not. Good Will Bunting.
Shit, Will Bunting. All right.
That
We're
would be
at
a
2 hours.
legacy to be born under. Yeah.
We can wrap here, but I'd definitely love to have you on again. It's
Absolutely.
good talk.
Great time.
Because I don't have that many. Like I have a good amount of guests lined up, but I'm gonna run out pretty quickly, so I think we're gonna do part two skis pretty soon.
Would you ever think of like doing like, can you do on this platform like three people or more?
Yeah,
Do you think
I
about
kind
that,
of
or you like the one-on-one?
I think I like the one-on-one. I definitely try the three people.
Yeah,
It's a little like one-on-one conversations are
it
easier
would
to me
definitely
because
be more lighthearted or like in a good way. Like I don't know, not surface level, but like three people, like you just like, yeah, I know what you mean.
like when it's two people, it's like the other person stops talking, you start. But three people conversations, like one person starts talking, it's like who's gonna go next? You know what I mean? It
Hmm.
can feel, like that, especially in the beginning, because like even in the
Hmm.
beginning of this, if it always feels like weird because like you're on camera, which I don't know if I'll ever get used to until you catch a groove. But we caught a fucking groove.
Definitely, definitely caught the groove.
Yeah, I think I like the one on one, but I mean, yeah, I'd definitely be down to try like me, you, Rome.
Yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. I'm definitely down to come on again. Good time.
All right. Your friend Luke said he'd come on. I think that'd be a good chat.
He mentioned that you booked him, or he just said like,
Well, I said, would you be down to come on sometime? And then I was like, can you do tomorrow? And he was like, no. So now, and then nothing else. But
how long ago? That was a little while. That was like over winter break, right?
I took like the whole month of January off. But
I bet
we're
he'd
coming
come
back.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So my boy Matt from school is gonna come on, and his friend. It's the funniest girl I've ever met. So we're gonna have her on. It'll be cool.
Really? That's high
Yeah,
praise.
yeah. And it's like it's not. I don't. At least top two. I think she's definitely like. All right. I don't even need to talk about this. She's like some people are funny because like we just they say wild shit, but this
Mm,
girl is like very like into like she knows what she's doing and her jokes are like fucking like I feel like we're intentionally funny and then
yeah.
there's like people that are just like weird and that's a version of funny and she's not just like weird.
Yeah, yes. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Oscar, I've asked this a couple times, so fuck it, why not? We'll end off by saying, is there anything you wish you could tell your younger self?
Um, honestly, just like something along the lines of like keep going, because like things will turn out all right. And like I don't know, I feel like who I am today is a testament of the hard work that my younger self put in, and just like the trust um, and willingness to like put myself out there in terms of friendships, in terms of uh, opportunities that I sought with camp and stuff like that, and going to the school that I did, the high school, and then just like that kind of like keep going because like even at the points where there was a ton of pressure on myself, at least it felt that way, or when things like seemed there were points in high school where I was like, why am I working this hard? Like, will anything ever come out of this? In some respects, nothing has come out of it, but I'm believing that one day it will. And regardless, like, things have been great. So I'm not complaining at all. And I'm very glad that, like, my past worked out to the way to get me to the point that I am. So yeah, just keep going because sitting here currently in the present, like, you look around and you recognize, like, things are pretty good.
Yeah. Hard work pays off. And it's also one saying I love is like hard work pays off, like not always in the way you think it's going to, but it always pays off. Like say you're like study really hard to pass a test and you flunk it, like
Hmm.
that work you put in, like that builds like a work ethic. Like
Definitely.
it never goes without paying off. All right. Thank you for coming on, Oscar. Listeners, thank you for listening. Rate it 5 stars, million stars, thumbs up, comment, subscribe.
On what?
Uh,
On Apple. You have it on Apple Podcast, right?
this is on Apple, Spotify, YouTube,
Word.
and
Awesome.
yeah, Skur will be on again.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for listening. All
Peace
right.
out, everyone.